Your game nights are too precious to waste with slow, tedious rules. Nimble 5e is a fast, tactical, and 5e compatible RPG that eliminates the slog, all too common at our game sessions. No more waiting 15 minutes for your turn just to miss your attack. No, not here. Attacks are fast and heroic. No more fiddly back and forth just to see if you even hit. The overhauled combat system keeps things quick yet deeply strategic. And with exploding critical hits, you can retain the chaotic excitement of battle. Tactics and teamwork are greatly improved with new heroic reactions. Actively defend and bravely interpose for your allies. And with instant initiative, you can get right into combat without breaking up the flow of the story. Nimble enables more player agency with a flexible action economy and deep yet simple weapon, skill, and magic systems. A character sheet that looks... All right. You guys let me know if you can hear me. We'll get started in just a second. Thank you guys for coming. Appreciate all the support. Fantastic. All right, thank you so much for coming, everybody. If you are new here, Nimble is a crowdfunding campaign going on right now on BackerKit. We are closing in on $220,000 right now. Absolutely amazing. I've really been blown away by the support. Thank you, everybody who's contributed and asked questions and made suggestions and all of that. Nimble is a new TTRPG based off of 5e and a number of other fantastic tabletop role-playing games, but it aims to eliminate the slog, make combat more interesting, make your options more fun, and to make it easier to GM as well as introduce new players to the hobby. So those are the goals of Nimble. Make it fun, make it not fiddly, make it so that people don't even want to look at their phone while it's not their turn because it's so exciting and goes so quickly. So those are the goals. That is what Nimble is. I want to give a quick status update on where things are currently. So for the stretch goals, actually before we get to stretch goals, I'm going to talk about the progress of where things are. I am currently working on wrapping up the Heroes PDF, the beta version, to make sure that it is ready to release on Thursday. Then later today, I'll be working on wrapping up the Core Rules PDF, mostly just small layout things, typos and stuff. I've got a fantastic guy, Bill, helping me with a lot of the fixing the grammar and typos and all that sort of stuff. So there will still be some typos and things to fiddle with and fix with the beta version. It's beta, that's okay. And I will include the things that I'm looking for as far as feedback in the document as well, so that we're not, I don't get 1,000 different, hey, you spelled this word wrong on this page. I probably already know. So I'm working on the Heroes. That one's very, very close. The Core Rules, that one needs just a little bit more layout, a little bit more arranging things. Those two, ideally, those two are going to both be released immediately or almost immediately on Thursday. I was in contact with the people at BackerKit, and they said that the best way to do that is via a backer update. So if you go to community, it's going to be one of these, a backer update. So they told me the best way to do that, if I want to send it out immediately and not wait for the pledge manager to propagate and you guys wait a couple of days or a few weeks or whatever. Usually BackerKit and Kickstarter campaigns, they'll start sending out digital things like a couple of weeks after, but I don't want you guys to wait that long. I want this to be in your hands right away. So it's probably going to be an update, and there in these updates at the bottom, at the very end, there's an additional section if you're a backer that you will see it, and there's going to be links there where you can download those PDFs. So I'm going to post about it. You guys won't miss it, but a while ago there was. Some people did have issues with that, so if we do end up having issues doing that, I'll figure out another way, but currently that's the plan. They said that's the quickest way to get things out to all of the backers. So expect that Thursday, maybe Friday. I am traveling this week, so tomorrow I'm going to be on the road all day, most of the day. Thursday, I should be at a location where I can do a final stream. So I'm going to be streaming for a few hours as the campaign is wrapping up, answering questions, maybe doing a live read-through of different parts of the PDFs, answering questions, that kind of stuff. And Phil, the one of the people who was helping me with the Foundry module, he may have something to share by then, so he may join us for the stream and demonstrate some of the VTT stuff that he's been working on. He's been working real hard, so very much appreciate him. And I think a guy named Necro, I don't know if that's his given name or not, but Phil and Necro, they're doing a fantastic job. So one of them may join us on Thursday for that. Okay. So that is the status of where things are currently. Let's look at the stretch goals. So the Oathbreaker stretch goal, we've got the art. We've got some rough draft ideas. So after the first after the campaign ends, the next week I'm going to be working on some of the updated content. So as the feedback and questions are coming in. And it is currently raining hard where I am, so if the stream goes down, I apologize. There's a storm. So I'm in the next week, I'm going to be working on finishing up some of these new stretch goals because they were not initially planned. So these are just additional development. So Oathbreaker got some great ideas there. Spellblade, same for that. Big Legendary Monster cards. So we're waiting on some art. I need to commission a few more art pieces, but those are going to be in layout, and that shouldn't take too long to do those. Upgraded Adventure. This week I've got another writer helping me with the first draft of the additional adventure content. He's a very, very good writer, one of my favorites, who is a veteran of Mouse Ritter, as well as a number of other things that he's done. So these are not green, shall we say, writers that are helping me. These are very experienced writers who know how to write some tight adventures, not super wordy, not so terse that the GM needs to like invent things as they go for every single thing, but to the point. You can run it at a glance. You can look at it and not have to study it for a month and highlight things and take notes on the adventure. You should be able to just run it very, very easily, especially for new GMs. But VTT support, I already talked about that. Development is well underway. We hopefully should have some stuff to show by Thursday. The GM screen upgrade, it has been upgraded to. I'll just show you. So this is the. It's wider. So this is the Shadow Dark GM screen, which is pretty sweet. So it is a bit smaller than a typical GM screen. So let me grab the Tales of the Valiant one. If you guys don't have those, though, those are some cool games. So the Tales of the Valiant GM screen, because it is A4 sized, it's very wide. Okay, so it can cover a good section of your table, and then compared to that, like the Shadow Dark screen, just try to hold them up together. The Shadow Dark screen is the same height, but maybe 2/3 as wide. So I felt that the Shadow Dark screen was just a little bit too small to adequately cover the notes that I might have. So instead of a 4-panel screen, we upgraded to a 5-panel screen. So that was an upgrade that I really wanted to do. So the art for that is ready. I have asked the artist to extend the cool Manticore art that we have, to extend it a bit more so that it can support the additional size. So I should be getting that back soon. But the actual content on the inside, I've got ideas for it. So it's gonna be names and tables and all sorts of cool things that the GM needs to run things on the fly very, very easily. Reminder rules, that kind of stuff. So that is well on the way. Shadow Reaver, we did a bit of live design last time, so we got some cool ideas there. So it generally, I try to figure out what is the fantasy, what are the mechanics we want to do, and then we'll figure out specific abilities. So that is where we are there. 200,000, we unlocked somehow $200,000. We unlocked upgraded books. So this does make them more expensive to print, but because it's a higher quality things, it's not just staples. It's foil upgrades, bookmarks, The binding for both of them is going to be a Smithsonian binding, and then the hardback books are going to be just even higher quality. So the cost goes up, but the more people that back it means I order more books, and then the unit per cost goes down. So it sort of evens out. So with those savings that I have, I wanted to upgrade the books. We're going to get some more legendary monsters and monster cards as well. I've got some cool art that's coming in from other artists too. We are very close. Since I've been streaming, we've just hit 220,000. So that is just absolutely amazing. By the end of the day, we may have already unlocked the 225,000. Upgraded the adventure just a bit further, as well as the Beastmaster Hunter subclass. This is one that I'm really, really excited about, and I've got maybe by the end of the stream we'll do a little bit of a design. I'm pretty sure this one is going to, we're going to hit this one at the rate things are going, so maybe we can chat about some cool ideas and make Bob World Builder super happy with some sick, awesome combo maneuvers with a hunter and a pet. We are trending to where the $250,000 stretch goal is actually within reach. So BackerKit gives a sort of an estimate of range. Hey, we think you're going to end up somewhere in here. So the range where they think we're going to end up is it is a stretch goal. So I'm not sure if we're going to hit it, but we might. So I'd love to have an online character builder that's easy. You can make a character and click print and print out your PDF or save it or whatever, so that you can have it at the table very, very easily. Or you can do some theory crafting and do fun stuff like that. I'd love to upgrade the adventure to level 5 is great, but a level 6 adventure would be even better. More things to do. And then a mini bestiary. So there are already going to be legendary monsters. There's going to be some rules to build your own monsters and that kind of stuff. But I would love to have even just a few pages of here's 3 or 4 different goblins. Here's some ogres. Here's an encounter for a good encounter for a level 1 party. Here's a good encounter for level 2 party, and have the stat blocks there so that it's easier to see. Even if you have a level 4 party and it's like gnolls instead of goblins like you wanted, you can reflavor those stats, and you can do things a lot more easily, just to sort of show what that kind of stuff would look like. So that is where we are with the stretch goals. There's no more. There's no more stretch goals. I have no more. So if we hit that, then congratulations everybody. We did it. we have succeeded. Hashtag do it for Bob. That is absolutely right. All right. So before we get into so next we're gonna do I even took some notes because my memory's bad and I'm old. Next, we're going to do a preview of the Songweaver, my take on the BARD class, as well as maybe the Hunter, a brief preview of the Hunter in honor of the potentially upgrading to the Beastmaster Hunter subclass. So that's what I have planned, and then maybe if I have time, do some live Beastmaster Hunter brainstorming ideas kind of thing. So that's what we're going to do. Before we do that, I'm going to look at some questions, you guys. Let's look at the questions. Centuric says, hey, how are you? I'm doing pretty good. Tired, but feeling good. Very blessed. Okay. It is Nimble time indeed. Ethan Jacinto says, I love it when they say it's Nimble time and roll everywhere. I don't know what that means, but I love it too. You guys can hear me. Very good. So excited for the full PDFs. Me too. I'm really excited for you guys to get them and to experiment with them and start playtesting. And I've been getting fantastic feedback already, making great improvements. Just like the last campaign with Nimble version 1, the people on the Discord, let me just say that the people on the Discord are just, absolutely fantastic. It's always nice, and everybody's always cordial, and people have great ideas and ask fantastic questions. And when I'm not available, other people answer the questions for me too, which is just amazing. Thank you guys so much. So for the last the Nimble version 1 rules, it was a solid B, I think, on its own. And then after a few weeks of iterating with it with people on Discord, it was an A plus. It made it way better. And I think it's gonna be the same situation here with the version 2 rules, clarifying things, improving balance, flavor wise, all that kind of stuff. You guys have really just been fantastic, and I appreciate you so much. Looking forward to the inevitable Scion class too. I have been cooking on that a little bit. It's way past the we can't add anything else to this project, but I'd love to do a Scion class. I've been cooking on it a little bit. I think there's a possibility. BackerKit seems to have more advanced features than Kickstarter. Yeah, I ran a Kickstarter campaign last year, and it was fine. BackerKit is just like way better. It's way better. Maybe the audience isn't as big, but I don't really care. I think the people at BackerKit are cooler, much more helpful. Back 10 out of 10. Recommend back 9 out of 10. BackerKit. Yeah, they you can always do better, but BackerKit has been really fantastic. Please hit the like button. Yeah, thank you, Chud. Show Evan and Nimble some. Yeah, hit the like button. If you guys don't mind, leave a comment too. What do you mean I can't name my firstborn Necro? You definitely can. You definitely can. You name your firstborn whatever. So you can name your firstborn like Charmander if you wanted to, and then when he hits 16, you can rename him to Charmeleon, and then 32, it's up to him at that point because he's no longer minor. You name him Charizard. So that is something you can do. Parents, they pretty much let parents do whatever you want. Question: the character maker, is that inside Foundry? So there is a character maker inside Foundry, but for the stretch goal, this is just going to be an online. Like I don't really do VTTs. So the character maker that I have is just online. So if you go to like nimble5v.com, there will just be a button, character maker, and you just click around, make a character. The idea is it's not going to be anything that you have to log into or make an account or sign up, or you just start clicking and doing things, and you can save it as a PDF. So the details of that are still very much up in the air, so we'll see if we can get there. But yes, the character maker is just going to be something for free online that you can use on a website. Love Good Gish, that's right. Bullet points, yay. Everyone knows Necro is a second-born name. The firstborn should always be Gabo. That's right. My first 5e character, his name was Gabo Staverson, and he was a goblin rogue. Gabo Staverson. How will the Foundry version be available price-wise? I think it's just going to be free. I think that's the plan. It's just going to be free for whoever wants it. The adventure... So to be fair, I'm not sure exactly how Foundry works. These are good questions to ask Phil, maybe if he joins us on the stream later. But from what I understand, he said that the adventures can be like purchasable things on Foundry. But if you just want to play any adventure that you already have, you can do that, because apparently like setting up an adventure on Foundry is not a small amount of work. So like I am paying Phil and Necro to do the work that they're doing, but in order to continue that work, for this free thing, like I will recommend that you guys, if you want to, I'm gonna have a link to his support page also, if you guys want to chip in and help out. So he is being paid for the work, but if you guys want to chip in and help continue the development of this after it's finished, that wouldn't be a bad thing. But if we do any sort of adventure with it, then that might be paid, just so that the development can continue on it. I'm not sure, but as much as we can, I'd like it to be free, because I just want people to be able to play with it. How the Foundry, are any printing on the inside cover like some other ones? Yes, so I love books that have, so like this one, I've got all sorts of things on my desk. This one, like this is more for, so it's got like things on the inside cover, things that you need to find like right away, like you want to have access to like these things, like that is so helpful. I hate it when books have like just nothing there, and that is like the most valuable real estate apart from like the front and back. Like it's the easiest to find. So yes, I'm planning on having like super helpful things, like maybe the hero book, like step by step, here's how to make a hero. So you don't have to flip around back and forth and do all that sort of stuff. And then the GM book, it's going to have like, different, quick reference rules for the GM. Or, that kind of stuff. So yes, I am planning on that kind of stuff. I want everything to be as useful and as helpful as possibly can be at the table while people are playing. This is not a game that I want to sit on the shelf. This is the game that I'm going to be playing personally, and I want it to be as helpful and as useful for me, right? So that's the goal. That's the idea. Yes. Evan Oathbreaker has a cool bloody art, but will it be a blood-related subclass? So some of those things we're still cooking on. It's probably not going to be like blood-related specifically. At least it isn't currently. But the current direction is a little bit different, a little bit spicy. But yeah, more on that soon. I'm really surprised at how quick it's risen. Just so if you're not familiar with how crowdfunding campaigns like work, usually the first 2 days is like huge, and then it goes like to like just a little bit, and then the last 2 or 3 days it sort of picks up. It can pick up too. So yes, the last tomorrow and the day after that should be pretty good. I hope. But it's already the support you guys have given is just far more than I could even ask for or expect. 250K, let's go. That's right. I hope so. I'm for. Angela Lewis says, I'm all for whatever makes Bob happy. Bob is a really cool guy. He's got some pretty sweet ideas. He and I think very, very similarly. Here is 3 stacked goblins. Yeah, I think I might do a stack of 3 goblins as one of the one of these more monsters. It wasn't originally planned, but some people have some pretty cool ideas, and I've started cooking on some ideas too. I have a question about the printable cards and GM screen inserts bundle. Will it be a PDF to print? Yes, it'll be a PDF and hopefully laid out so that it can print easily. That's because I'm PTBR. I don't know what that means. Oh, a Brazilian. I would need to be able to translate them for my players. So everything's being laid out in a proper design app now, where you should be able to highlight the text in the PDF and like copy and paste if you need to do that. So hopefully that'll help. The previous one was flattened as images because I just I didn't do it in a smart way. But this one is laid out in a proper way, so you can search the PDF. You can copy and paste and do all that kind of stuff. Angela Lewis, Evan, I know you have enough editors, but if you need yet another proofreader, I'd love to help. Angela, yes, I would love for you to help. If you're on Discord, send me a DM on Discord. If you're not, if you just want to send me an email, evan@nimblerpg.com. Please send me an email. I'd love to get your assistance. You can never have too many eyes on it. So I'd love that. Will there be more abilities and distinction between subclasses as they level up? Yes. As of now, the difference between assassin and scoundrel feels so small. Yes, absolutely. They definitely the lanes get more and more flavorful and more specific as they go. Fire Ally says, I mean, why do a Scion when you can do Nimble in space? Nimble in space would be cool. I need a good sci-fi TTRPG. Alien is pretty good. It's a free league thing. I've not played it myself. I have like the starter set and like the books and stuff. But from what I hear, it's pretty sweet. If you want, it's a little bit spooky if you're into that kind of thing, though. Maybe it's a good thing to play like in October. Okay, so I'll pause with the questions for just a little bit so we can get into the preview. If you guys have any questions, the little scrolly thing has stopped where I left off, so I should be able to find it easily enough, pick up where we left off. Let's see. So let's get into some previews. And not just previews, but I'm also just updating the layout and making things look better in general. And I think we're definitely getting there. So things are looking like a little bit better designed, less cluttered. I'm really liking the direction. Ooh, I'm trying to scale things so you guys can see a little bit better. So I'm trying to design things such that streaming is hard. There we go. Now you guys can see. So I'm trying to design things so that it looks good, it's easy to read at a glance, and like you'll be able to click on like page 12 and click on it and it takes you right to the sheet. So that is what we're trying to do. Okay, so we are doing the Songweaver first. This is some of my favorite art too. I can't believe that I was able to get this art. So Songweaver, just try and resist my charm. Wait, no, don't! So that is sort of the flavor of the Songweaver. Each Songweaver holds a spark granted to him or her by a muse at birth, a spark which fuels his creative energy and flows forth in the form of a sharp wit, relentless humor, or moving works of art. And we'll fix, so we've got a little hangly-dangly dude here, so we'll fix that as we go. There we go, we fixed it. So little layout things, little typos. Don't worry about those as you're going through the PDFs here on Thursday or Friday. Those will get sorted out. And I'll have a list of things that I'm looking for. Like, this is the kind of feedback I'm looking for. I'll have that included as well. Songweaver, you can charm hapless people you meet and inspire your allies to reach fantastic new heights. Use your lyrical weaponry and powerful charisma to dominate enemies and call special friends to aid you in your journeys and in battles. You can even redirect attacks away from yourself and make enemies attack their own allies. Control the battlefield with a chord of chaos, a rad heroic ballad, or a debilitating rhapsody. Make your allies and enemies alike dance to your tune. So that is the feeling of the Songweaver. It is very much a utility class, a flexible class. They're a spellcasting class. So not much with melee, though there might be in the future like a melee focused Songweaver class. I've got a poster of the D&D movie poster where the BARD guy, I forgot his name. He's holding his is it a mandolin or his old guitar? He's holding his guitar like a bat in the poster. So I love that kind of stuff. But the base Songweaver is very much a spellcaster class. It is a support class. It is and the two subclasses lean more in the direction of support or debuffing. So those are the two directions that they go. So the Songweaver is a charisma and intelligence based class, because you have to be, if you're going to be coming up with some barbs and insults and stuff, you got to be you got to be quick on your feet. You got to be able to think. You have to be smart. So charisma and intelligence are their two. They're two key stats. Their hit die, higher than a mage, higher than a cheat, so it's 1d8, so they're a little bit more survivable, but nowhere near as survivable as like a berserker or a commander. Will saves, obviously, advantage will saves. Strength saves is their disadvantage save. They can wear robes or leather, and they have access to dex weapons currently. I may give access to like wands and stuff, but they may not need those. We'll get to that in a little bit. So even feedback on things like this, I'm interested to hear your thoughts on. Like, what weapons should a Songweaver have? Should they have leather armor? I don't know. Maybe. Okay, at level 1, Songweavers get wind spellcasting, and wind makes sense because like their songs are like they're moving the air molecules. That is what they do. They affect air. So wind spellcasting and whatever else, one other spell school that they choose. So Songweavers, they can get cool combinations of wind and necrotic, or wind and radiant, wind and fire. If you need someone to do more damage, wind and fire, or wind and lightning. If you have a class, a party full of like martial dudes and nobody to heal, you could be wind and radiant if you want to. And you can change the second school that out, at various times as well. So it's not something that you're stuck with. So you get wind spellcasting and vicious mockery. The vicious mockery cantrip. So similar idea, different mechanics. A little bit stronger, a little bit more interesting too, I think, than the 5e base. So it's a wing cantrip, range of 60 feet. It is 1d, so it's not a save. It's not a save any longer. It is just an attack. It's 1d4 plus int psychic damage. And because it's psychic damage, it ignores armor. The target's next attack is made with disadvantage. So you just flat out, you can just do this. But if you're going to try to viciously mock two different creatures, the first one is normal. Your second one is going to be with disadvantage. So there's a 50% chance it's going to fail. Or roughly 50% chance. And then if you try to do it the third time, the chances. So whenever possible, design-wise, it is a good idea to avoid unnecessary steps, and saving throws is an unnecessary step. It's not unnecessary in the sense that it's like additional rolls. It is an additional roll, so you'd have to roll your damage, and then you'd have to have the saving throw. But the unnecessary step is Songweaver player says, "I want to do this," and then the GM says, "Okay, I need to roll a will save." And then the GM says, well, what is your will save? My will save is this, and then I rolled this. And then so that back and forth, just to find out if I hit or not, is what slows the game down. So sometimes that's necessary, but if you can eliminate it altogether and just have one person do it asynchronously, regardless of what the GM is looking at or doing or what everybody else is doing, I'm going to roll a d4. I know if I hit or not, if it works or not immediately. That is way faster and way more fun, honestly, than this whole back and forth. So with cantrips, you really don't want them to be making saving throws. Big spells that you can only do once per turn or once per round, or cantrips, you might be doing that 3 times on a turn. So you don't want that kind of thing that frequently being slow. But like a tier 9 huge spell, yeah, you can have that do cantrips, because like you're going to do that once, maybe twice in a campaign, maybe never in a campaign. So the design philosophy around this is remove those slow things, make it fun at the table. 1d4 plus int psychic damage, and it ignores armor. And the target's next attack is made with disadvantage. You also get Songweaver's Inspiration. This is a free reaction. You can do it at any point, and it's free. It doesn't cost you anything. Allow an ally to reroll any single die. It must keep either result. A saving throw, a to-hit die. Maybe they crit and they rolled a 1 on their extra exploding die, and they want to reroll that one again. Any die that you choose. Okay, maybe someone has a handheld ballista or some spell or ability that lets them roll a d20 as their attack die. Reroll the d20. So any die that you choose, any single die, you can, and you have to keep either result. So you can't just keep doing this. But just your being in the party gives them inspiration. And you can say, la-da-da! Reroll that, man. I'm giving you better odds. And you can use this ability, Charisma times per long rest. So there are abilities that lean on your Charisma as a stat, and abilities that lean on your Intelligence as a stat. Okay, and I'm trying to make sure that every class has this, so that it's not just like I'm stacking Strength. That's the only stat I care about. No, every stat has some value. No stat is a dump stat completely. There may be stats that you value more or less, but every stat should have some value, and you should be able to pick amongst. It should be an interesting choice. Do I go more Dex, or do I go more Wisdom? Do I go more Charisma? Do I go more Intelligence? That makes for interesting choices. And there's not a right or wrong answer. Do you want to be better at inspiring your allies, or better at mocking your enemies? That's a pretty sweet choice. Okay, let's scroll down to the bottom. Let's see where we are. Yes, standalone character maker. Yes, absolutely. How many sets of spell cards will be given? Just enough for. So there's gonna be 1 set of each currently. I'm gonna be talking with the printer for some of the cantrips and other spells that I know you'll need more of for the box set. I may include multiple copies of those, but like you probably won't need like 2 copies of like the tier 9 spells. But how printing works, they will print cards on like a huge sheet and then slice them. So I think there's currently like 60-something spells, but they have space for like 72 on a sheet, I think. It's something like that. So if we have space, I might just go ahead and include like a few more of the more common cantrips, I think, in case like 2 people, like if you have a Shepherd and a Shadowmancer, they're both going to want the necrotic spells, but only the Shadowmancer will want the Summon Shadow card. So I think we might be able to do a couple of extra spell cards for those that might need more. But I'll know more about that once we get to the printing stage, once we get to the layout and all that sort of stuff. It's going to increase the weight. It's going to have an impact on shipping. So I don't want to go crazy with it. But I would like to, so again, I want it to be as useful as it can be to my table. I don't want 2 people to like pick Necrotic School and like only 1 person gets to use the spell cards. So it's something I'm thinking about. Must be a US thing, I guess, for the names. I don't know what that means. Standalone character maker. Do you guys have ways to ship to Brazil? Yes. Yeah. For the last one, I shipped to Brazil. It's just USPS, United States Postal Service. It might be a little bit pricey because shipping is just a little bit crazy. But yes, can ship to Brazil. At least last I checked. And if you want to send me an email, I can like type it into my shipping platform and like get an exact or a rough estimate, because I don't know how much it's going to weigh. I can get you a rough estimate. It's probably going to be in the neighborhood of $30, $40 for the box set, and maybe a little bit less. There's certain like breakpoints with the shipping. If it's like a pound or less, it's like pretty cheap. If it's 2 pounds or less, it's this, and then like 3 pounds or more is like the price sort of goes a little bit crazy. So I'm trying to keep the shipping costs down as much as possible. And if I get enough people in South America, I might see if I can look for a South American shipping partner to help with his prices. No promises. Last time there's only like a small handful of people in Brazil and some of the South American countries. Any plans for adding a Roll20 character sheet or compendium in the future? Certainly possible. From what I've seen, there's been people on the Discord who are already doing that. I don't know the quality of that or not, or what's involved. If it's like an afternoon of work, yeah, I'd be happy to pay someone to do that. But if it's like a month of work to do that, then probably there's not enough demand for that kind of thing. Just for the cost and time investment that's involved. But if it's like if it takes like someone talented who knows what they're doing like an afternoon, I'd be happy to pay someone to do that. If you want to send them my way, feel free. I'd love to support wherever you are currently playing if it's not too much trouble. But there's just way too many VTTs, unfortunately. That's correct. Adventures and other add-ons can be separate from the system. Okay, I assume that's about Foundry. Same adventures means map making with walls, lighting. Yeah, there's a lot of pulp. And then creatures and different things. In the same vein, is there a database or something to help you? So to search for classes and monsters and spells, a la 5e tools? Probably not. That would be at least not immediately. That would be substantially more involved. That would be much more involved. So at least immediately, no. I always hate having to pause the game to look up how grapple works. Yeah, so it's gonna be on the inside of it. So like those kinds of things are gonna be on the inside of the GM screen. But there will also be tips for the GM to say like, when in doubt, just decide and then figure it out later. It's like rule number 1: don't stop the game to look up a rule, right? Just figure it out. And just like, make a contested check, and then like you'll sort out exactly how to do it later. So like that is absolutely. Proofreading is a great skill. I wish I had that. I don't think there's any typos in that sentence there, Ghostbit. Let me know if you want to see the goblin stat cards we made so far. Yeah. So right now the Discord has been popping off too much for me to follow every thread like I normally have been, and I've been busy as well trying to get things ready. So feel free to @ me on Discord. Like, I don't mind at all. Feel free to send me an @ if there's something you want me to see, and if I don't reply in like a day or two, do it again. Like, I don't mind. It's not a bother at all. Or you can DM me as well. My DMs are open. I love seeing the things you guys look at. I don't have time to like look at and evaluate an entire class, probably, at least not right now. But like a quick monster, or if there's a specific question or you just want me to see it, like, yeah, I'd be happy to take a look at it. I want, Fire Ally says, I want a heroic sci-fi though. Yeah. Yep. A lot of this stuff could be reflavored. Like the mage is just like a dude like with a gun. He shoots like lasers out of his guns instead of lightning, or flamethrower. Like you could easily do sci-fi stuff with Nimble. Hey, just Hectimus says, hey, just forwarding from the Discord, but can you explain the reasoning behind changing the School of Magic? Oh yeah, thank you, Hectimus, for reminding me. Does anybody know what the difference between, like, I don't even know what the spell schools are anymore. Like that's how. All right, let me look them up. What are the spell schools in 5e? Like they're just like random. What's the difference between abjuration and conjuration? Like, okay, yeah, maybe no. Or abjuration versus transmutation, or evocation versus conjuration. Like, I don't know. Like, I kind of know. Like, evocation, I guess, is like blowing stuff up. An illusion is like, things that aren't really there. But like the schools that are there are not. They're not intuitive. And some spells don't really fit neatly into any one of those. Like Thorn Whip. I think Thorn Whip is a spell, right? Like the thing that makes thorns? Thorn Whip. Like, is Thorn Whip, like, what school is it? Transmutation. Never would have guessed that. I might have guessed like conjuration or something. So they're not flavorful. They're not. And again, this is just my opinions. This is just like me personally. If you love it, more power to you. But they evoke no flavor. They're not intuitive, and they're not helpful in any real way. But fire spells, like, okay, I immediately get the sense of like I sort of know what fire spells should do. So fire spells have a flavor of burning things, exploding, what if you were to imagine what is the strongest fire spell I don't know, turning into a red dragon. Like, okay, yeah, let's do that. So like the flavor of the spell school influences the spells that are made, and you can come up with ideas much more easily than like, what is the strongest illusion spell? Oh, I don't know. What's the strongest lightning spell? Like you turn into a storm of lightning. Okay, cool. Yeah, that makes sense. The strongest necrotic spell, some horrible pandemic that you cause. Yep, that's exactly what it is. The strongest radiant spell, I don't know, you just bring everybody back to life. Exactly. So changing the spell schools, I think we can make them much more flavorful, much more intuitive, and you can, it's easier to say like, the mage gets these 3 spell schools, like fire, ice, and lightning. And the ice is a very protective spell school. It slows people down. It gives you armor. Like, yeah, that feels right. But like just a generic spell like shield, like what is the shield spell? Shield. I can't spell. Shield is abjuration. Okay, it could have been conjuration. You conjure a shield, but you abjure a shield. I don't know, like abjure. It just isn't a word that people use normally. But a shield of ice, like yeah, you're making this ice shield, and it makes sense. Or a shield of flame. It's not going to block more damage, but it will burn people when they hit you. And again, that's intuitive, right? So that's the kind of stuff that I'm going for. I want it to be fun, but make sense in world, and like able to grok it really, really quickly, right? So the lightning spells have their own feel. You're teleporting, you're fast, it's long range, you're doing things, and it harms you, right? Necrotic spells, they're very, very risky, high damage, high risk. Radiant spells, they ignore armor, they do things to bad people, and they when someone damages you or one of your allies, you can do cool things to them. So they each have their own flavor, but like abjuration doesn't have a flavor really. Yeah, it's sort of protecty, I guess, but like shouldn't radiant spells do that also, or shouldn't ice spells do that? So anyway, those are the ideas. It opens up a lot more interesting design space. So that said, people have been saying like, oh, I wish we had like a shape earth kind of thing. Well, that's a necrotic spell, like, and it's flavored as like dig grave, right? Or like, I wish we had like a shape water. Well, it's an ice spell, because ice, ice is made out of water, right? So these kinds of spells can still be there. You just have to flavor them in a certain way. Okay. Also, any thoughts of spell dueling? That's a little bit too fiddly, I think, to have in a core rules book. How often would that ever come up in a campaign? Maybe once, maybe twice. If it comes up more often than that, then it's probably like the optimal way to play, and it should probably not be. But for those kinds of things, like if I was GMing and my boy Brandon said, I cast a fireball at this guy, and then like the other guy says, I cast a ball of ice at it, like I could probably pretty easily come up with some way to like, both of you guys roll a d20, let's see what happens. You could come up with something easily enough using the rules that are already there. But if there was like some like mechanical way of like spell dueling, and I can spin extra things to do this and that, like it sounds cool, but in practice you're probably just going to stop and look up the rule, and then like, oh, okay, then I guess my spell doesn't work. That's probably what's going to happen. Or like, oh, that other guy's spell doesn't work, and okay, well then it's your turn. So like, something sound cool and would be cool like in a movie or in a video game, but at the table when you're playing with other people, it like in analog, it's a bit less cool than it sounds, because like you can't remember all the rules, you can't remember every rule, and you'd have quick reference things, but you can only have so many quick reference things, right? So if there's one of the panels of the GM screen that says it's all about spell duels, so you never forget, well, that's one panel that I can't have like names for cool NPCs that I might need to make up, and I'm making up names for cool NPCs like every session, right? But spell duels may come about once in like never, right? So for that kind of thing, I don't think we need rules for. There are already tools in the core rules that you can work that kind of thing out already. There was another, like, someone else had a question. Let me see if I can find it. Someone else had a really cool question about some weird, like, super strange edge case. Like, what if this happens while that thing? Oh, it was like, what if my rogue like climbs up 100 feet or 30 feet and then jumps down on top of an enemy And then this happens with, like, does the rogue take damage, or does the enemy take the fall damage, or like what happens? Like, instead of saying like, well, this is how you adjudicate in that particular weird edge case that may never come up again. There are guidelines for the GM. You can do any one of these 2 or 3 things and just go with it. It's like you can say like, hey, make a dex save. If you succeed, then the bad guy takes damage because you're landing on him and you don't take any. If you fail, then you both take damage. Or the GM could just say like, just decide, okay, instead of you taking the fall damage, you both take half. So there's plenty of things that could happen reasonably in world, and the GM can just decide. So rather than saying, here's a rule for every situation, here are guidelines, and you can just choose what feels best at the table. So it's not something extra you have to remember. Just use the rules that you already have. Someone make a save, make a skill check, make an attack roll. Those rules will cover 99% of the situation, maybe 95% of the situations. But for a game like, I don't know if anybody's ever played like Magic the Gathering. Here's a giant spider. So there are rules for everything. Or a game like Monopoly, there are rules for everything, because in those games, there's no GM. There's no one who can adjudicate weird edge cases. But with TTRPGs, you don't need rules for everything. That just slows the game down. It makes it harder to play and harder to learn. So anyway, tangent. I hope that makes sense. GMs can just decide these kinds of things. So I hope that kind of philosophy, design talk is interesting to you guys. Do you have a travel system? I have suggestions if you're looking for input. Feel free to send it my way. I'm probably not going to have a travel system, but if there is like an adventure where they're having to go from town into the deep, dark, spooky woods, there might be like something that like some events that could potentially happen. So travel and role playing is more of an adventure or situation based thing rather than like a quote unquote rules thing, at least in my mind. So, as your party is going into the deep, spooky woods, have whoever's in front make a naturecraft check. 1 to 10, this happens. 11 to 15, this happens. 20, it's like 3 different things could happen. And then there's a travel encounter. So that kind of stuff would be more interesting, I think. But the only thing that really comes to mind with that, but I think does cover it, are the resting rules. So travel rules is basically like, how can I like mete out different, how can I cause people's resources to dwindle in an interesting way so they have to make different decisions. I think A5E has something called supply. So as you're going around, it's just abstracted, like it's your food and your stuff that you have. So something might happen and you lose 5 supply, and like, oh, that's pretty cool. We did something similar to that in our Rime of the Frostmaiden campaign. But I don't know that you need that if long rests are restricted to only at a safe location. So like only back when we get back home, then like running low on hit points, running low on hit dice, running low on mana, and all this sort of stuff. That you already have that. You already have your supply. You already have, like, if you have a mishap, well, you lose some gold. You lose some hit points. You lose whatever resources you have. Or it takes longer. So those kinds of things. I think are already covered by the long resting rules, where you have to mete out your resources carefully enough to get to where you're going and get back home in one piece, right? So I think that's enough. And if you need more than that, like you're crossing the volcanic mountains of doom, then like that adventure can have like roll this check, roll that check to do this and this and this. So that's where I'm at currently, but I love travel. I love travel stuff. So if you have any rules in particular, feel free to send them over, but I'm looking for things that are easy to do, quick to play, not fiddly. Like I don't want to go from playing like D&D to playing like chess. Does that make sense? I don't want to have like different subsystems where I'm playing like multiple different games. Like, let's think of things that are using the tools that we already have at hand in new and interesting ways. Do you have a crafting system? Nope, no crafting system. There are rules, guidelines for what makes an interesting what makes an interesting magic item. So an interesting magic item should fit one of multiple categories, and so rather than just like, oh, here's a sword that deals 1 more damage. So there are rules for making your own, and you can honestly use any magic item from any book, really. It doesn't even have to be a 5e related book. It's pretty trivial to do that. So there's not a crafting system per se, but you can use the skill system, the skill checks and different role-playing mechanisms to craft those kinds of things if you wanted to. They want to use every direwolf tooth to make a spear. Yeah, let them. Absolutely let them do that. And then like if my players are doing that, they want to use all their direwolf teeth. Like maybe that one has advantage on, like, you know, the direwolf tooth spear like strikes fear into the heart of direwolves. So like the direwolves, they like the first attack you make against them has advantage. Like, oh, that's cool. Like, yeah, like, oh, that little boy, he's got a spear made out of teeth from my cousin. Like, yeah, that's kind of scary. Like, so you can do things, use advantage, use this, use that. You can use the elements that are already there in the game to make a cool, flavorful weapon without like, oh, there's a +1 weapon. No crafting system. Yep. More or less. Sorry, this thing is not scrolling super good. So, okay, I gotta give shorter answers, guys. I'm sorry, I'm getting behind on the chat. Well, Wishmockery seems very strong, except that disadvantage on an attack as in is annoying. Yeah, disadvantage on attack is not nearly as annoying. The creatures are still probably going to hit, but they're almost certainly not going to crit. Their chance to miss is doubled, and their average damage goes down. So progress is still happening even when someone's rolling with disadvantage. So those are all things to take into account. So the word is the same disadvantage, but the effect is essentially very, very different. So rolling 1 die is very, very different than rolling the attack with disadvantage 2 dice and then removing the highest, because you're almost certainly not going to crit. The chances to miss is doubled and the average damage go down. So all of that is happening at the same time. But disadvantage in D&D is like, oh yeah, I'm pretty much just going to miss. So like no progress is being made. So disadvantage is much less punishing, but and far more interesting in Nimble. More or less, you don't want that on like cantrip since it's too common. So there is one cantrip, I think. Let me see. I think Entice is the only cantrip that makes that causes a save, but it's interesting because it's bringing a creature closer to you, and casters don't typically want that. So it's not something that you're going to usually cast 3 times in a round. Especially because 25% chance to forever, and yeah, that's right. There are a lot of cool third-party books with good crafting systems. You could talk about, yeah. The cool thing about being 5e compatible is that there is so much content out there if you want it, and it's trivial because the math, the expected damage of a level 5 dude that he can deal and take is roughly the same in 5e and Nimble. So you can just take those things and convert them very, very easily. There's way more content out there than you could ever use. Yeah, so you can be really good at one thing, but not both. Though to be fair, level 1 to 2, I see way more charisma than intelligence. Nerdman asks, does must keep either on the inspiration ability mean you choose which result? Yes, you choose which result you want. Exactly. Double King says, have you considered allowing players to spend an action to give themselves advantage on an attack that turn? It can feel better to spend 2 actions on a better attack than attacking twice. So I want to avoid analysis paralysis. So it's something I'm thinking about. It would be easy enough to add that as like an optional rule in the GM guide or the core rules. I don't think I want that as a core as a default rule. Because, you know, then it's like, well, do I attack or do I move, right? So that's a pretty interesting choice. All right, well, I attack. Well, do I attack with this spell, or this spell? Okay. Well, do I attack with this spell, or this spell? With advantage, double advantage, or whatever? Like that. So that is the juice worth a squeeze? I don't know. in the time that it took to ask myself all these questions and decide the correct answer, I could just attack twice. And it's essentially the same thing. Like, I attack and I miss, I'll just attack in. Okay. So would that be cool at some tables? Probably. But would that also be terrible for other tables? Probably. So I don't know if the juice is worth a squeeze on that. So customization is interesting until it isn't, right? So like having like 3 different choices is cool, but once you have 4 or 5 or 6 or 10 different choices, then it becomes less fun. Since you talk about tweaking layout and getting more art, etc., and since we're talking about the BARD, remember, art is never finished, only abandoned. Yes, that's good to remember, yes. Eventually, you just got to ship it. Planar Wonder asks, will there be guidelines to create balanced homebrew classes or subclasses for Nimble? Probably not guidelines per se, but you could look at like, oh, the level 3 subclass featured is about this powerful. Then you can get something about that powerful. Or the level 3 subclass has a combat related thing and then a role playing related thing. And then each class also has like some list of abilities to choose, and then on a long rest they can do some cool role playing thing in order to pick different abilities. So like you can see that every class has those kinds of things, and it's pretty easy to sort of take that. Each class has 2 key stats. It has 1 advantage save and 1 disadvantage save. So yeah, you can sort of see how it is, and the whole class is just one spread, and it's not one spread in one of these giant books. It's one spread in a small book. At least the class features are from level 1 to 20, and pretty much levels like 11 to 20, like the second half is just like you can pick more of these abilities that you've already chosen from, or you can use them more often, and you're stronger in these. You have more hit points. So levels 10 to 11 don't add more complexity. It just adds more options amongst the options you already have available, if that makes sense. Abjuration is defense magic. Evocation is mostly damage. Yeah, and I get that. But like if you think of like an evocative, like some evocative poem, like it's not a damaging poem. An abjuration, like I abjure you to this, like it's not really defensive. Like I get that most abjuration magic is defensive, but those words don't evoke those feelings, right? But I get it. I mean, a lot of people like it. D&D is very popular. So, but just for me, the Nimble is very opinionated. I think Bob or Dave Thumavore, someone said Nimble is an opinionated version of D&D, and yeah, I think that's the case. No, it was Mike Shea, Slifer, great guy. He loves talking about that kind of stuff. There's a wild magic mage actually. So it's a chaos mage, but yeah, basically wild magic. I think that's transmutation. Yeah, because transmutation is usually plants. I didn't know that. That's cool though. Okay, I'm gonna just scan through the rest of the comments real quick. Raccoon, what is the strongest illusion spell? Believing you have been turned into a dragon. That is a good one. You win, Raccoon. Will mage get arcane? Yes, every class that can cast spells gets arcane spell schools, school spells. Enchantment, the strongest illusion spell is the friends you think you've made along the way. Goosebit, you win. The friends you thought you made along the way. Will Nimble have counterspell? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. People get to do cool things. The closest thing to it is like legendary resistance, which is different than what is in 5e. Legendary resistance is a legendary monster can resist any negative thing they want. Any single negative thing, whether it's a save or some effect or an attack's damage, they can do that. But in order to make it not a terrible mechanic, the players get something in exchange. Something bad happens to the creature if they use that. So there's nothing like counterspell. I don't like that. Bruno says, Ricardo says, finally could catch you live. Thanks, Ricardo. Thanks for being here. Bruno says, DC20 is working on an alternative to Counterspell to make them less obnoxious and more exciting. I don't know exactly how it works. Spell duel. Okay, cool. That's cool. Yeah, Dungeon Coach, he's cool. He's got some cool ideas. Much more Pathfindery, much more crunchy than is my personal preference. But he is very successful, and who am I to question his choices? He's got some cool ideas, though. You could have a simple counterspell system. No, I don't want to get into all that. Feel free to homebrew that if you like. It would be sick if you could roll to take control of an enemy spell. Monopoly does indeed have rules. The first rule of Monopoly is to play Mario Party instead. Yeah, don't play Monopoly. Okay. Can you touch on mana regen on a short rest? There's no mana regen. Nobody gets anything on a short rest except for hit points if they want to spend their hit dice. That is it. Short rest is the exact same for everybody. Besides the Discord server, will there be plans for an online repository of a homebrewed content? I think I might add a page on the website, like resources, just for fan player submitted stuff. I just have links there, so I might do that. Retravel. I'll send you the document. Cool. Yeah, send it to me for travel. Supply's really cool. Okay. So I'm gonna just jump back down to the bottom of the chat. If you guys have any more questions, let's get back to the Songweaver preview. So wind spell casting, and anything else you want. Vicious Mockery, really cool. Songweaver's inspiration. So you get a cool flavor of the class, but not too much. And out of all of them, this might be a little bit too much. So maybe like at level 2, you can pick a secondary school. So I might do that. I want to make sure level 1 for all these classes isn't overwhelming. And this one is, you have your wind cantrips, you have another school that you have to pick, and you have to look at all the other schools, and Vicious Mockery and Songweaver's inspiration. That might be too much. I'm interested to hear you guys' feedback. Level 2, you get high tier spell casting. You can unlock tier 1 spells in the two schools that you know, and you get Smooth Talker, advantage on the first charisma related skill check you make with an NPC. Whenever you short rest, you may play a song of rest, and allow anyone who spends hit dice to heal additional hit points equal to your charisma. So it's not a big boon, but it's a small little buff, and it makes sense, and it gives you opportunity to do a little bit of role playing. Level 3, of course, you get your subclass, and you get Quick Wit. Whenever you roll initiative, you may regain 1 spent use of your Songweaver's inspiration, which expires at the end of combat if left unused. So many of the classes who have these expendable resources, they have some way to get them back at a regular interval, typically when you roll initiative, so that you're never without the cool thing you can do completely. So if you waste them all, if you spend them too freely, at the beginning of combat, you can still do it a little bit. But if you're more careful with them, you're still rewarded. The only punishment you get is if you never use it, then you can't regain a spent use if you've never used it. So it's incentivizing you. Use it some, be smart about it. So the desired play patterns are the ones that are incentivized, which is, I think, pretty cool. So you can't hoard them because, again, it expires at the end of combat if it's not used. Level 4, you get tier 2 spells. Key attribute, you get lyrical weaponry. So this is their list of abilities they can choose from. And then whenever you perform in a place that inspires you, or exchange barbs with another competent wordsmith during a long rest, you can exchange those abilities for others. And then level 5, you get your people person ability. You've met many people in your travels. Some have even agreed to come to your aid should you need it. You can choose 2 friends that you know and temporarily summon them via song. What in the world does that mean? All right, let's look at the lyrical weaponry real quick for the Songweaver. These are pretty sweet. Not my beautiful face! Once per encounter, whenever you defend, you can first force the attacking creature to make a will save. Okay, it's a once per, so it's a save. It's going to slow it down a little bit, but it's fun. It's a funny thing. It's once per encounter, though. Make a will save. On a failure, choose another target within range If there's no other, target, the attack just fails. So if you're surrounded by a couple of gobos and one's starting to attack you, you say, "Not my beautiful face," and then they fail. The gobbo attacks his boy. Okay, pretty funny. But it's once per encounter. Like, you can't trick them that way too often because they sort of wise up to it. If they fail by 5 or more, they attack themselves as punishment for even thinking they could harm you. And you do indeed have to sing the name of this ability if you use it. Song of Domination. This is 2 actions. You play a bewitching tune, and all enemies within 30 feet who hear it must make a will save. If they fail, you move them up to 30 feet in any direction, and they cannot move on their next turn. It's a very powerful ability, not by itself. It's not powerful by itself, but if the situation is right, the mage is going right after you, and you know he's about to explode. Just move all of the boys right over there, and then boom, right? So cool way to do teamwork, and you have to think of how you use it, and it's not just some dumb thing that I just swing my weapon, right? Think about how you do this. Think about the environment. Maybe there's a pit of acid or the hungry mouth of a purple worm or a cliff or something. You can dominate them. And it's something you will remember forever. Hey, Brandon, you remember that time you used Song of Domination and marched 50 goblins into the mouth of the purple worm? And then the purple worm just was so full of goblins that he didn't even want to fight us? I remember that. That was 80 years ago, and we're great-grandparents now, but I remember that. So I want abilities that you will remember for a long time if you can pull them off. Heroic Ballad. You gain 1 max Songweaver's Inspiration charge. Your Songweaver's Inspiration also grants that ally additional damage on that attack equal to your Charisma. So if your Charisma's 3, hey, you able to just deal a little bit of extra damage on that. Especially when it matters. So I will usually tell my players, like when an enemy's getting low, like a boss enemy or something like that, I'll say, like, this guy has 27 hit points. This guy has 4 hit points. And then they'll roll and they'll do like 3 damage. And they're like, no! And then, like, that moment, the Songweaver can start strumming and make this heroic ballad, and like, that's not gonna do it. And then the guy re-rolls and he adds the damage, and they're like, that's exactly what you need. Like, those are the cool moments, like where it's not just a buff, like you turn the tide of the battle completely. That kind of stuff is really, really fun. Inspiring Anthem. As an action, you grant all friendly dying creatures 1 hit point in 1 action. Okay, that's a big ability. So everybody's dying. All hope is lost. You are going to wipe. The campaign is done. And then there's this inspiring anthem that just bursts forth from you. Nobody's dying. They all have 1 hit point. They all have at least 2 actions now. This is once per longer. So this is something that you can only do very, very rarely, or relatively rarely. But it's a really powerful thing that can turn the tide of battle in an interesting way. And it makes sense that the BARD is the one that can do this. Rhapsody of the Normal is probably the weirdest, but most interesting, most breakable thing, but you have to think about how you're going to break it. Rhapsody of the Normal. When you roll a 4 or more on your Vicious Mockery, so you can't just use this any old time, and there's a reason why it's not just when you crit on Vicious Mockery. When you roll a 4 or more on your Vicious Mockery, you may spend a Songweaver's Inspiration charge to temporarily suppress any special abilities they have until the end of their next turn. They can only do what an untrained average villager can do: attack once for 1d4 damage and move up to 30 feet. No armor, no spellcasting, no flying, no regeneration, no resistances, no immunities, no other inherent or trained features. For 1 turn, you mock this guy so bad that he forgets that he's an ancient dragon, and he's just a pitiful little, as weak as a little commoner. Okay, and whatever that means. Maybe he's up in the air and he maybe falls to the ground. Maybe he's casting some spell or doing some crazy thing. Rhapsody of the Normal. Really, really cool. I love that ability. But again, it's not obvious how you would use that. But if you ever use that and it works, you'd remember that. You'd remember that forever. Okay, so at level 5, you get a people person. So the Songweaver, the Bard, is someone who is just like, they know people, they're friendly, they're gregarious, they get out and they charm people, and it makes sense that the Songweaver or the Bard is the one who like has allies to call on in a pinch. Like they have people that they can rely on. So at level 5, Songweavers, they get a list of abilities, but they also get a list of people that they know. Tom Garten says, absolutely love the phrase lyrical weaponry. Yeah, absolutely. I think that's pretty cool. Hectimus says, what are your ambitions with Nimble outside of new rules? If it continues to grow in interest, do you plan to publish adventures, errata? Hopefully won't need errata, but if anything like that is needed, I'll just post that for free. Adventures, maybe. Like, I don't actually like writing that much, but I do like designing. I don't know. I don't know what the future holds. We'll see. I think if you got inspiration back equal to your int, that would be strong. That probably would be too strong. It probably would be. At least at a low level. I think that's fine. In D&D, level 1 is the meat, level 2 is the potatoes, and Songweaver and Song Rest, I think, work well together as meat and all the spellcasting flexibility as potato. Potentially. But because you know that means that you're like an experienced D&D player. So if I showed this to my like cousin who's never played, or my wife who's never really played, would like all of these things be too much? Maybe. I don't know. Raccoon says, can I look at your class? If it means a lot to you, yeah. DM me, and again, if I don't reply, feel free to ping me after a day or two. I will not take offense to it. I just have a lot going on and a very bad memory sometimes. Never been a fan of short rest 5e mechanical rules. Cool. Me neither. We're samesies. All right, let's look at people person. These are some of my favorite things also. Like I love the Songweaver. The BARD is near and dear to my heart, but the fantasy of the BARD just sort of fell through for me, like the mechanics and stuff. People person. So at level 5, you can choose up to 2 people that you know. Stompy is the first one. Stompy. If you met Stompy at some point in your life, you know him and he's your bud, and you can call on him if you want to. 3 actions. Summon a huge hill giant for 1 round. All right, so he's a big dude. You can only summon him for so long. The magic only works for so long. So you summon a huge hill giant named Stompy for 1 round. As he enters the battlefield adjacent to you, use Stompy's Stomp. Make a DC 10 influence check, and on a success, which should be easy for you as a bard, on a success, he charges up to 30 feet in a direction you choose. Stompy, go get him! Right? Dealing bludgeoning damage to everything in his path equal to your level plus the influence check. So if you roll 15 on the influence check and you're level 5, 20 damage to everything in the path. Okay, and then at level 20, he's going to be dealing a lot more damage. You're able to summon more magic and summon him more corporeally than you otherwise would be able to at a much lower level. So it's a cool ability that scales with your level and with your influence check, which is pretty sweet. That's not the cool part, though. The cool part is any creature within 30 feet can use this ability instead of an attack. Stompy stomps toward you instead on a failure. You're not friend. So you tell Stompy, go get him, Stompy, and then the goblin's over there. Go get him! Go get the other guy! And the goblins are shouting, and the goblins have to make an influence check. If they can trick Stompy's not a smart guy. If they can trick Stompy into stomping toward you, then great. But if not, then he stomps toward the goblins. And again, it's something you're going to remember. It's a really interesting combat thing to have happen. And then you also get to explain, well, how in the world did you meet Stompy? Tell us the story behind that. And then cool, you've got story built in.
Well then there's Gran, who is definitely not a hag. Don't call her a hag.
When resting, you may summon her for 1 hour to soothe your wounds and hassle you for not eating enough. She bakes and hands out cookies equal to your charisma plus your intelligence. Eating 1 recovers 1 mana, 1 hit die, or 1 wound. Eat them while they're warm, though. They expire in 10 minutes. So you have a cool combat ability. You have a cool resting ability that can increase your longevity. You can go more Nova. You can heal yourself if you had a really tough time. So you can summon Gran as for a short time while you're resting. So while you're resting, that's during a short rest or a long rest if you want to. Well, I guess during a long rest, during a long rest you wouldn't really need that, but Selvi. Mal, the malevolent imp, summon a tiny fiend for 1 night. He can find out dangerous information you have no right to know. So this is the kind of stuff that GMs love. I'd love to tell my party all the backstory of like this king who's making these plans, but they have no way of knowing that. Hey Mao, go break into the king's castle and figure out his plans and do bad things, and then while you're there, break something. Like that kind of stuff is like amazing and fun and really, really cool as a GM, and the players love it too because they feel like, I got something I did not deserve to get. Or he can take care of a problem, take care of a problem with only the slightest chance of things going wrong. Okay, so this is very much open to the GM, but you make an influence check to convince him to help you. You get advantage if you ask him to do something he would find mischievous or fun, and you make that influence check with disadvantage if it's something he would find good or menial. So super flavorful, really interesting. You have to think about how you might use him, and it really gives the GM the tools to make the story blossom, I think, in a really interesting way. Then you have Catbus. Catbus the Ever-Friendly. Maybe Catbus is a dragon. Maybe Catbus is a Catbus. Who knows? But you can summon a legendary flying but friendly creature to take you where you need to go. He may request a very large amount of food as payment. Okay, so you can pick two of these people that you know. Really interesting, I think. And then there's also a note, flavor is free. If you want to know a sentient boulder instead of Stompy, knock yourself out. Feel free to work with your GM and re-flavor the people you know, as long as the mechanics stay roughly the same. Have fun. So these are exemplars. This is, if having a grand doesn't make sense, maybe like some other character, a kobold who, like a kobold chef, your own personal chef, cool. Like maybe you're a noble Songweaver and, your Stabs, your kobold chef, your personal chef, he's grown up with you your whole life, and you know him, and you just summon him to cook for you every once in a while. Awesome, really, really cool. Maybe instead of Catbus the Ever-Friendly, maybe it's like a pacifist green dragon that you met and like untangled from like some nets or something. I don't know. So there you can reflavor these to kind of whatever you want, if you want to. Love Stompy. Stompy's brilliant. Thank you guys. Is this intended as a sort of illusion, or do they actually show it for real? So you can explain it in world however you want, but how I'm sort of thinking about it is like Stompy, like you're not teleporting them there. It's sort of like think of it as kind of like the Star Wars like hologram type of thing. Like they're there. It's more than a hologram because you can talk with them and interact with them, and like Stompy can stomp things. But once the spell ends, like they go back to where they were doing what they were doing. So you can explain it in world however you like. Stompy is super real. Grandma, I'm so full already. Hectimus says, do you usually DM or do you prefer to be the player? I am usually the DM. Yeah, I am usually the DM. I would love to be able to play more, but I've got kids. And honestly, being a player in 5e is sometimes very, very boring. What tools do you organize your notes? Paper, Obsidian. I have an app called Figma that I'm a designer at my daytime job. This isn't my daytime job. I just do this for fun. So I use Figma. And you can use like pretty much any app. But I will sort of like put together notes and stuff. And maybe I could show you guys some notes. I'll go ahead and pull that up if you want to see what my notes look like. All right, so here are some notes. Stabs lore, that's right. Here's some notes from turn off InDesign, turn on web browser. All right, so these are the notes from part of the Rime of the Frostmaiden campaign that I ran. So like here I've got like the map, and then like, so I will take, let me scooch this over a little bit. So I will take like the book and like boil it down to only the things I need. Cragcat, he's got this. Lake Monster, he's got that because I'm not about to be flipping through. So this is like campaign 1. Here's all the things. I turned like the different dudes into into their own little stat blocks. Campaign 2. So this is like session 2. Here's the note that I need from like Bryn Shander and Northlook and all these different things. So like this is what my notes look like. And here I think is a map that's still loading. So like sometimes the things I'm going to read are in blue, but so this is what my notes look like. And sometimes I'll make like cool little handouts that I'll print out and give to, and even back in the day, like here's, if you guys want to take some screenshots, here's some cool like abilities and stuff. Like one of our players was like a druid. He was like a barbarian, and like his backstory, his grandpa was a druid or something. So I was like, yeah, barbarian, you can wild shape into an owl bear. Cool. Why not? So I would give them like new abilities and different cool things. But yeah, this is what my notes would look like. Did I spend way too much time on this? Probably. And then like one of my boys, he could like he summoned a like a water elemental, which is pretty sweet. So will this work for your campaigns? I don't know, maybe not. But like here's like a Rimmeraz, and like Rimmerazes are kind of stupid in 5e, so I made him like do some extra cool things. Just take inspiration from lots of different things, and then I redid like all the stat blocks for Oriel in the end. So yeah, so that is sort of how my notes look when I'm DMing. Hope that's helpful. Yes, that app is Figma. You can just you can type stuff, you can bring in images, you can lay things out. Oriel Rules Written is an awful fight. Yeah, it was terrible. I made it pretty cool. It was pretty spicy. I'm loving the look of Nimble as a new DM. All right, cool. I get quite overwhelmed with the amount of rules to remember in 5e. What is the Nimble GM screen going to be like? Could I run a game without the book? Hopefully you would read at least the core rules, and it's going to be like a dozen pages maybe, like of actual rules. It's going to be like a dozen half pages. You could read the rules and pretty well understand it in like 10 minutes, 15 minutes maybe, and then the adventure is designed to introduce the rules as you go also. So if you're like even a little bit familiar with the rules, you could run the adventure like basically right away. But the GM screen is going to be a fairly typical GM screen, but with like Nimble specific information. So like this is the Shadow Dark GM screen. It's got like tables and things and like rules reminders, like so that kind of stuff. But it's going to have things that I think are more helpful than some of these other things. So you don't really need art on the inside of your GM screen. You need information. Things to help me improvise, things to remind me, things to, all that sort of stuff. Like how much money should this goblin have on him at level 2? Like that kind of stuff. Will there be rules? Okay. So I think my chat thing here isn't working. So let me open up this other chat. Thanks for sharing. Didn't know this was a possible avenue. Nimble looks so much easier and more fun to DM. Thank you, Angela. I appreciate that. Sorry, I would definitely read the book. Okay. I just meant I would I have to reference them often? No. You would not have to reference it at all. The rules are designed to be easy to remember and consistent. To attack, you roll whatever damage dice the attack says. If it's a 1, you miss. If it's the max, you crit. Like easy. There's no to hit. There's no shenanigans. There's nothing like that. My advice, Firelight says, my advice as a new GM is to know the character creation rules so you can walk players through it and then look up their abilities for their first couple. So for new players, I would give them a pre-made character. If you could know it doesn't hurt to say like, if they say, I guess I'm going to cast Fire Dart or like whatever. I cast Zap. It helps to know like, okay, roll 2d8. And then you can say like, and if you're new DM for new players, it's even more helpful to have like the dice, each different color. So you can say roll 2 of the blue ones. And if it's a D10, like roll the yellow one. So like I went to my local store and I got dice, different sizes, but different colors. Each like the D12s are blue and then the different colors. I think that's how it used to be back in the day. The dice were all different colors. That kind of stuff is super duper helpful. So you can just tell them like if you don't know what to do, just go ahead and attack. And your best attack right now is probably zap. And then once they get used to it a little bit, okay, you know, zap does this, and then like maybe like, oh, you already attacked once, you probably don't want to cast zap again. Maybe cast this other thing, or maybe move because the dude's right in front of you and he's going to smack you. That kind of stuff. But the adventure is going to walk you through that very, very easily. I love the whole system can be read in a day. I felt very overwhelmed and burnt out when I attempted to read 5e Player's Handbook as a new DM. I've never read the whole thing. I've maybe read just a small portion of it, and I just sort of figure it as I go along. At least the Player's Handbook. Yeah, and then I've got the Pathfinder tome, and I always like, it's so exciting, the thought of it, but like when I try to get down to actually read it and understand it, it's kind of depressing for me personally. I know a lot of people love it, but I can't bring myself to do it. I can't even bring myself to read like little booklets like a board game will have like a little booklet like this, and like I won't play a new board game unless someone is there who already knows how to play, and I don't have to read it and they can just explain it to me. So that's just sort of how I am. That is Pathfinder 2, I think. I don't know. I honestly don't know. I just tuned in, super excited to rewatch and learn about the Songweaver. Cool. Can you talk about any plans for exploration? So if you're rewind just a little bit, I did talk about that just a little while ago. Yeah. Different styles. But I think the GM guide will have like some stuff like that. But the explorations and stuff is mostly for adventure dependent. Different styles. I like letting player make characters from the start and have never super like pre-made characters as a player. Sure, yeah, that's fine. And if you do want to do that, that's perfectly fine. And it should take you like 5 minutes. All right, basically you would go. You go to just open the book or the PDF up to this page. Hey, which of these looks cool? And like each one has like a sentence. Berserker, an unstoppable force of wrath and ruin. You're like, oh yeah, that guy looks pretty cool. Or like, no, I want to do like something a little bit magic-y. Or I like bows. Oh, this guy's got a bow. I'll be him. Right. So just at a glance, you can pick which class you want to pick, and then then you're off to the races. And like the page right before that, oh, you choose your class. All right, now you do this. Couple of steps, 5 minutes, you're done. All right, let's see if there's anything else. Class I'm most excited about is probably the bards. Yeah, man, I love bards. I love the thought of bards, but a lot of times they're just not actually that much fun. But this one is pretty sweet, I think. Off topic, nerd man, but as someone who thinks about quick and easy to explain systems, what is your thinking on race versus other terms? Ancestry, kin. I like using a different term to avoid confusion. Yeah, so what I did in the thingy thing, let me just show you. Where is it? I've been moving things around, so things are a little bit different. So yeah, don't worry about the weirdness. So I get that some people get bent out of shape about saying race. You know, race is not a bad word, but some people don't like it, and I understand that. Race as in like human race, not like I'm a white guy, or I'm a black person, I'm Hispanic. So no, it's what race? Human or elf. So that's what we're talking about. So it's not a bad word, but I get that some people don't like it. So I say race, or your lineage, your ancestry, etc., etc. Yeah, how your character was born, how other people see you. So race, in my mind, is the clearest thing. It's the clearest word. Like ancestry, to me, could imply like. It could imply like background, or lineage could imply background as well, like I'm a noble, or I'm a this, I'm a that, you know. So like those words are confusing to me. They're less clear. But race only ever means one thing. Like this is the kind of creature I am. Other words like species feel like too sciencey for a fantasy game. Those words are fine if you like them, and feel free to use them. But for me, race is the clearest, and then for people who want to call it something else, they are more than they're more than welcome to do that. So that's my thoughts on that. I hope that helps. But yes, avoiding confusion is a pretty big priority. Will enemies have individual ability score stats? No. Some enemies will have, if we go to like go to this guy. We'll go to Grimbeak the Undying. So little owlbear dude. So he doesn't have stats, but like it does say like saves. His strength save is advantage. So that's as deep as the stats get. So like I don't care if this thing has a 12 charisma. Like that's not going to help me, right? That doesn't help me run the game any quicker or easier. So as far as stats, that's it. No. So all I need to know is how much damage that bad boy does, and how much damage he can take. Oh man, I just realized you're mirrored now. It'll look weird if I see the right way around. Yeah, so initially, the first couple streams I was mirrored, and I would keep trying to like raise the sand and show the sand, and it was confusing me. So I had to flip it. Sorry. What software did you organize the Frostmaiden campaign in? That was a Figma, Figma. I think you can open up a free account and do it, but it's not really for that kind of stuff, but you can use it for that. It's people like big companies use it, design companies. It would be cool to have a download section on your site for all the beautiful art. Maybe a way to support these artists also. I don't know if this already exists. I don't. So I am putting something recently. I am putting like this art was by Sean Vines. And so I'm putting the artist names next to the art when I can remember it. And I'm having to like go back and search. Like this one is Joseph Q. So if you do want to look up those artists, you certainly can. But to download the art, I don't know. Maybe some of the artists might not like that. If just downloading there. I'm not sure. Let me think about that. I would love to use art as like wallpaper or something. Okay, maybe. We'll see. What's your race? I'm more of a Formula 1. Yeah, also, yeah. Formula 1 type of guy. Three-legged for me, raccoon. You can reasonably say that Grimbeak would probably have a -1 to charisma and to tail Stompy. Yeah, so like, yeah, if ever it matters, there is advice in the GM guide to just roll a straight roll. Or if you think... So when in doubt, just roll a d20, and what the result you get is the result you get. That said, if you're fighting like a really old, frail wizard, you can expect that his strength save is going to be not very good. Just roll that with disadvantage. But his will save is going to be very good. Roll that with advantage. So if anything is very, very fast, roll their dex save with advantage. If it's really slow, roll it with disadvantage. So you can do that easily on the fly without having to look up anything or think about anything. I know that this goblin, it's not super smart, but it's not super dumb because it can talk, right? So I just roll normal. So the default is you roll all saves, you all roll all of those checks just normal. But if it's like a quick like roguey type of goblin, I might give him advantage on his dex saves. If it's a bard charlatan type of NPC, then he's going to roll his things with advantage, and that makes perfect sense. So more guidelines than hard rules and numbers that you have to look up. You can just do it on the fly without having to look all that stuff up. Not too hard to make that up. Yep, exactly right. In terms of the monster stats, would you say we should just improvise things like Owlbear's ability to detect PC's presence using perception, like sense of smell, for example? Sure, you can. You certainly can. Most of that stuff is like... Most of that stuff is pretty easy, pretty trivial to do. Things like passive perception and all that sort of stuff doesn't really help the game at all. It just complicates it. I also think it can be powerful as GM to just say, Owlbear doesn't speak common. Yeah, that's exactly what I would do for Stompy. For the Stompy thing, yes. Owlbear can't speak. He just... yeah, so no, he can't do that. Yes, 5e has convinced us that we need to roll for everything regardless of possibility. Yeah, we shouldn't need to do that. Artist, like, Twin Steel says, really appreciate you attributing the artist. Great move all the way around. Artist, it takes so long to do, like, one piece of art. Not just, like it probably took Joseph, a couple of days to draw this, right? Maybe 2 or 3 days. But it took him like probably many, many years to be able to draw this in 2 days. So being able to compensate artists is a very, very big deal. So probably the largest portion of money on this campaign has been spent compensating artists for their work. So let's look real quickly at the hunter, just to give you guys a quick overview, and then we'll spend a few minutes just brainstorming brainstorming some cool stuff for the Beastmaster Hunter. Let's check in on the campaign. Wow. So just in the hour that we've been talking, we've raised another, I think, $1,100. So yeah, probably by tonight we're going to have the Beastmaster unlocked. So yeah, let's get to work on that. So the Hunter as a class is pretty sweet, pretty sweet. Respect the forest and her children, and she will bestow upon you many gifts. Long before the first stones of the grand kingdoms have been laid, there was the wild. We hunters called groves and fields home, just as the elk and boar still do. We have trained our minds and hearts as much as we have trained with bows. For in becoming a hunter there is great danger. The thrill that washes over a hunter's body when stalking prey is wild and intoxicating. Be warned, do not allow it to settle into your heart. For no true hunter takes without recognizing what they first have been given, a soul, a meal, warmth, all at a cost, a life that should not be taken lightly. Wherever you roam, be it city or glade, mountain or valley, as long as the wild is tenderly tucked into the depths of your heart, you will always be a hunter. May your arrows strike true and your bowstrings never break. Okay, so some of the story hints at the mechanics of the class. So Hunter as a class, Dex and Wisdom, hit die D8, Dex is the plus, Strength is the minus, leather armor, and they have Dex weapons. So Hunter's Mark is interesting. As an action, a creature you can see within 20 feet is marked for 1 day or until you mark another creature. It cannot be hidden from you, and you deal additional damage equal to your Hunter level to creatures that you have marked. Okay, so immediately you have a reason to want to mark a target. They can't hide from you, and you deal additional damage equal to your level to that creature. And you gain the Forager ability, gain advantage on skill checks to find food and water. And I might just change it to say, like, you can find food and water wherever you are. But I think Forager is pretty cool. Thrill of the Hunt. This is basically one of the key mechanic for the Hunter. The adrenaline of closing in on your prey grants you additional abilities in combat. Gain 1 Thrill of the Hunt charge whenever you roll initiative, and whenever a creature dies while marked by you. You can have a maximum number of whiz charges at a time, and they expire when combat ends. So at level 2, you can pick 2 cool Thrill of the Hunt abilities. Level 3, you pick a subclass. At level 4, you gain an additional Thrill of the Hunt ability. And then whenever you spend a day in the wild during a long rest, you may exchange one ability with a different one. Level 5 is where it sort of starts to get a little bit more interesting. You are a veteran stalker. You gain Wisdom, Thrill of the Hunt charges when you roll initiative instead of just 1. And you gain that when you're first bloodied and when you first drop to 0 hit points during each encounter. So for like boss encounters where like the creature in playtesting, when there was just like one boss, like you gain your 1 Thrill of the Hunt charge, but like no creatures are dying until combat ends. So instead of that, you gain more. So you might gain 3 or 4 wisdom, or 3 or 4 charges at the beginning, and then when that boss creature gets bloodied, then or after you take damage, then the adrenaline keeps pumping. You get more charges back, and then so there's different opportunities for you to gain these charges in other interesting ways. But the cool thing, I think, about this, the most flavorful part is whenever you kill a creature that you have marked, you gain 2 Thrill of the Hunt charges instead of 1. Okay, so I think that's really, really interesting because you mark a target, this is my target, like, you stay away from it, like, he's mine, right? So, like, it's fine, like, it's fine if someone else kills it, but, like, it's even better if I kill the target I mark. So I might not mark the same target that everybody else is attacking. I might mark another target, something that's like weak or low on hit points already. So like you start picking them off. So the combat starts, you start picking off different like small creatures so that you can build up these charges to do cool things. So that is sort of the core of the Hunter class. Let's look at a couple of the abilities real quick. So Decoy, when you defend, you can spend 1 charge to force the enemy to re-roll the attack with disadvantage. Something attacks you, you get crit. Like, oh no. But instead, you say, all right, re-roll. Not only do you have to re-roll it, but you have to re-roll it and then take the lower of those 2. And if they miss, you can move up to 20 feet away because that's where you really were all along. This was a decoy they attacked. So like that kind of like retroactive retconning, like it's cool, I think, in D&D and these kinds of games. So like the monster like the fantasy of the monster like running over here and attacking this decoy, that retroactive illusion. It thought it was you, but like you're just over here like shooting arrows, like that's a really cool survivalist thing to be able to do. There's other things like distracting strike, so that's a good like one for survivability for yourself. There's distracting strike. When you attack, you can spin a charge, hit or miss if your target is taunted by you during their next turn. So if you're a ranger, you're probably going to be like in the back, like away from things, and then you're taunting something that's way up here that probably won't be able to get to, may or may not be able to get to you on its turn, and it may keep attacking like your ally that's next to it, right? So it's taunted, but all of its attacks are going to be with disadvantage if it's attacking your ally instead of you. Or that creature might like run way over here and spend more of its actions. Like if it's more than 30 feet away, it'll move 30 feet, and then if it has 2 attacks, it can spend the DM can like let it move again instead of one of its attacks. So it gets to you, and then like it has fewer attacks. So a really interesting way to help your teammates out. There's Hail of Arrows. There's different. There's all sorts of other things as well. So let's do some live design and think about how we might do the Beastmaster, because I think we're gonna hit it tomorrow, maybe even today if we're lucky. All right. So here are some initial thoughts. And I'll make it bigger for you guys so you can see it. Okay. So Beastmaster Hunter. I think the name is exactly what we want it to be. It's evocative, and it doesn't need to be anything else. So what is the biggest negative of a Beastmaster or any kind of companion or whatever class that summons things and does stuff? It gives you extra things to track, and it's more fiddly, and it's more complicated. I think this has to have no extra stat block to track. I think that has to have it. It has to have no additional actions. So you can't get 3 actions, and then your companion gets 3 actions, and you're doing 6 things. So you're either going to be super overpowered, or in order to maintain balance, your actions are so weak, and the companion's actions are so weak that it's hardly even worth having. So no extra actions, no extra stat block. That lets us let the companion be very, very powerful, or that lets us do the awesome sick combo moves. That lets them be much more powerful. Okay, so these are just some very very rough ideas that I have. So what if? So my initial thought is they have no Thrill of the Hunt abilities. So all the cool abilities like decoy and all that sort of stuff, the Beastmaster Hunter doesn't get those. So the important thing about these story-based subclasses is they can't just be like out and out better than all the other subclasses, because then everybody will just want to pick them, and then that's not fair to everybody else. So they have to be as cool but not better. So if they get all of the abilities and this cool pet, well then we don't have as much design space for the pet to do cool things. But if we take something away that the other subclasses get, but give them these other cool things, then we have a lot more space to do cool, spicy stuff. So they have no Thrill of the Hunt abilities, but they can spend their Thrill of the Hunt charges on sick, awesome combo maneuvers. I think that is going to be the core of the class. Okay, and then here, these are some ideas. So maybe like you gain chart, like if your companion is knocked unconscious, this probably isn't going to be, because I don't think the companion is going to have its own hit points. I think we're going to do something a little bit different, a little bit smarter. Like the easy thing is, you get a companion, just take the brown bear stat block, and just now you have 2 characters that you have to run. I think that is the easy way to do it on the design side, but that is the hard way to do it when you're actually playing. Right? It sounds cool and it is easy to design, but it is actually not that cool because it's either way too good or way too bad, and it's too fiddly, and it's the GM hates you because there's like, oh, all right, well now there's 50 additional hit points spread in this party that I have to deal with, and like now the common encounters are all skewed. But this is the kind of idea that I'm going for. So if your companion takes damage, maybe that makes you angry and you get fueled with adrenaline. That gives you charges. Maybe something like that. These are just brainstorming ideas. But what I think that the idea that we're going to go with is something like the Storm Shifter. How the Storm Shifters. Let me go back to design. So something similar to how the Storm Shifter. And I wish there was an easier way to show all of these things. So what Wizards of the Coast did with 5e with the Druid is they said, oh yeah, you can wild shape, just pick any beast in the monster manual, and then like you can pick any beast. Like I don't think that's a good way to do it design wise. It's kind of dumb, my opinion. Your opinion may vary. But what I've done here is you can pick one of these 3 different forms, and then like each one of these forms gives you something. So you can flavor your beast of the pack as a dog or a this or a that or whatever, and the large beast, the fearsome beast, as an owl bear or as like whatever thing you want to be, and then you can customize it with different things. Like, all right, so you can do that kind of thing. So I think what we're gonna do with the Beastmaster Hunter is going to be something kind of similar, not exactly that, obviously. It's going to have to be a little bit simpler. It's going to be similar to that. Like, do you have a small beast, a medium beast, or a large beast, right? So like this girl here, she's obviously got a large beast, right? And like to have like a dragon or something as your pet might be like a higher level like that might be like the level 15 feature or something. I'm not sure. But yeah, would every hunter want to have like a dragon at level 1? Yeah. Should that happen? I don't know. But I think each one should be its own cool thing. So like a small beast, for instance, might grant additional thrill of the hunt charges, or maybe they can interpose for you once, and then maybe they're knocked unconscious. Maybe they could spot enemies. So they're not good at combat directly. They're not good at dealing damage, but they buff you and do other cool things in other ways. So like maybe you have a raven who's like flying around, scouting the battlefield, doing different things. So maybe that's what they do. A medium beast maybe could interpose for you 2 times, or if both of you attack the same target, you can do some cool takedown maneuver. Or maybe they can increase your speed, like you're running with, you're part of the pack, like a wolf or something. Or when you crit, they can attack for free. Or maybe they make your crits vicious or something like this, or they have advantage on attacks against adjacent enemies or something like that. Okay, so if an enemy is adjacent to you and then they're there, they can attack that creature, that thing with advantage. A large creature might be able to interpose for you 3 times, or interpose within 20 feet and then knock prone when they interpose, sort of like a boar or a big bear or something. Or fearsome, maybe they increase your die size by 1 step. So these are some ideas that I have. Definitely not finished, but I don't want, I've got some notes on my phone also, I don't want a separate hit point pool to track. Okay, so what about this? So what about, so how can we not have a separate hit point pool if your companion... So what if, so I know how to spell, I just don't know how to type. If your companion is attacked, you take half as much psychic damage. Like if you saw your dog getting kicked, like that would hurt you, right? So what if the companion's hit point pool is essentially your hit point pool? You have much fewer things to track, and you're incentivized for them to be attacked and not you, so they can still tank damage for you. So basically, the damage is being cut in half. But they don't have infinite life, so like if you go down, they go down. Or if they go down, you go down, right? So that kind of thing might be interesting. Let's see some comments. What thoughts do you guys have? Feel free to leave some comments. Retroactive illusion, delicious hail of arrows. Yeah, that one's pretty cool. Since the shepherd has an animal friend, how do you think you'll differentiate the two? Yeah, so flavor-wise, the shepherd's animal companion follows them wherever they go. They do not move independently from the shepherd. The Shepherd's Companion has no hit points because they're a spirit creature. They don't take damage. They're immune to all negative effects. So they are essentially a non-combat target for your enemies. So they're different in that way. The Shadow Minions, instead of being immune to damage and effects, any damage kills the Shadow Minions, but you can summon a bunch of them. And after combat ends, they just leave. So they have a very clear lane and very clear flavor. The Shepherd's Companion, it always stays with you until it could sacrifice itself for you. It can do other things, but it is your faithful companion. You only have one, and she has a name. All right. But the Shadow Minions, like, no, it's like I'll summon like 12 of them, and like they all die. I don't care. Like they're just like little dorks. But so that one has a name. So for the Beastmaster, it's closer to this, but it is a combat companion. It's going to take damage. You're going to take damage. When it hurts, you hurt. When you hurt, it hurts. I think that kind of flavory stuff is cool. But allowing some of these combo moves, like you're working together to build up these, like to position yourself or build up these cool, sick combo moves. That's going to be the flavor. Let's see. That was a great question though, Twin Seal. Fire I think the big thing for Beastmaster is how are we going to make it feel distinct from the Shepherd? Yeah, I think that is not going to be a problem whatsoever. It's clear in my head at least, so I think that's why I can say that confidently. Help allies flank at a distance, maybe. What I'm trying to do for my artisan class homebrew is to specifically make it so you have to spend actions to activate remove control. Yeah, so it's going to be that kind of thing. Maybe like spin an action to do this or that. Spin an action and a thrill of the hunt charge to do some cool combo moves. I'm not sure yet. Or maybe like the thrill of the hunt charges are the companion's actions. Maybe, who knows? That's a pretty cool idea. Let me write that down before I forget. But this is how the class and subclass development goes. You have like cool ideas, and then you'll try things out, and then you have to think about what just sounds cool, but what is actually cool. I think a cool combo is riding, where you or an ally can ride the animal, and when it dashes, you get opportunity attacks on things that pass by. Okay, maybe. What was cool about Drake Warden from 5e? Yeah, maybe I should read how 5e does it. It's been a while since I read that. For example, was how you grew with the dragon as you went. But I imagine Beastmaster will want to swap out beasts like a Pokemon trainer. I don't know if the Beastmaster would want to swap out beasts. I guess they could. So the idea of this being a story-based subclass is that like you're just like a regular hunter, but like maybe this owlbear saves your life, or you save this owlbear cub, and like this is your bonded like companion, like this is your creature, like this is your boy. Like you don't just upgrade your dog when you find a prettier dog. Like no, that's your dog. Like you keep it forever, you know. So I think it's gonna be more of that. Like this is your boy. But I guess if someone wanted to go like the Ash Ketchum route, like I wouldn't stop them. Yeah, the dragon could grow over time. That kind of thing would be cool. Yeah, like you start with an owlbear cub, and then he gets bigger. Owlbear alpha. A small beast could distract, taunt. Yeah, maybe not taunt. Yeah, maybe taunt. Yeah, like the annoying gnat or something. Makes sense so long as you can't resist psychic. Yeah, psychic damage is basically like psychic and radiant damage. Broadly, is ignores armor. It's not a hard fast rule as of right now, but it could be. I was really Double King. I was literally typing in half as much psychic damage when your pet is attacked. Oh man, what a great idea! What a great idea, Double King. This Centric says this could also be themed as a sort of spirit link if you want. I don't know if I want to go to spiritual link, but like you could certainly flavor it that way. I think just the psychic damage like makes sense because like people hurt when their loved ones hurt, when their animals hurt. Yeah. The small beast could apply a new hunter's mark to a second enemy. Now that would be that's cool. Yeah, because currently there's no free way. There's not an easy way to apply Hunter's Mark. It always costs an action. It's something you want to do a lot. So yeah, maybe the small beast like gives you better action economy. Like it can do these things. Like the bird could like poop on different enemies to mark them for you. That'd be funny. A little ferret that you have like goes and like pees on things because like when dogs are peeing, like they lift their leg and they pee, they're marking their territory. That'd be pretty funny. I like that, Bruno. Beast attacking some same target grants you advantage or maybe +1 die for your attack. Yeah, like yeah, teamwork, takedown, extra damage, that kind of thing. That would be pretty sweet. If it shares your health pool, it can't be knocked unconscious without you going down with it, right? Yeah, yeah. So you guys are so much of a team. You work together, and like I don't really want to deal with the situation of like you go down, but then your pet is still up, or this or that, or you know. I think having it at a single pool makes it more interesting. Makes it much more interesting. BP, yeah, yes, yeah, agree. Easiest thing is increasing die size or advantage. Yeah, there's a lot of ways to tweak attack damage. So attack damage is interesting. Yeah, attacks have to scale and do cool stuff, but like the other cool, more flavorful things I think are better. Very cool, and thank you very much. I feel like a vaulting off your back ability for a small companion or for the PC. Yeah, that would be pretty cool. Upgrade your dog. Yeah, maybe you just give your dog armor or something. You give him like I don't know, some of those wolf teeth that you are harvesting. Is this companion going to be unkillable while you're alive, so that you don't have to replace it? Try. Yeah. That's gonna be the idea. Yeah, if the in like the animal is like it's a creature of its own, so like it's also like doing things like it's doing things to avoid damage and all this sort of stuff, and like that is the fantasy. It's not just like sitting there like a dope, like if the goblin's stabbing it. It's doing things like you seeing your companion like being attacked and taking damage, like it's simulating both of your health bars, just like a hit points is itself a simulation. Like this is how we're sort of simulating both of you taking damage in combat, right? Yeah, if the idea is one and only one, I think having abilities or future subclass things that let it feel like it's growing. Yeah, so level 3 you get some ability, level 7, level 11, level 15. So you get these different abilities, and then yeah, so it's maybe level 15 you can train a better animal, or you unlock cooler combo abilities or something like that. Yeah. What about the pet having a list of abilities that can be swapped out or long rest? Yeah, so that's probably what it's going to be. So it's going to be, let me just show you. I'll show you the layout idea that I have real quick. Okay, so each of the different subclasses. So like the Oathbreaker, it's going to be a half a page, or like half a spread, so a full page. So it's going to have like all of its features and things here, and then the Beastmaster, it's probably going to like the text for the like the levels 1 to like each of the subclass upgrades is going to be like here, and then like the extra like beast combo abilities might be here. Like so, like might have like 8 or 9 different combo abilities you can choose from, or something like that. So if the companion is hit with the sleep spell, you both fall asleep. There isn't currently any sort of sleep spell, but yeah, that's something I'll have to think about. Or if falls asleep, would you stay awake and get the whiz charge? I don't know what the whiz charge means. Will you and the companion have a combined 3 AP? Yes. So there will be 3 actions. So it's not AP any longer. That's sort of that's the old one. So it's just actions. Why say action points when you could just say actions? It's twice as fast. So yes, you would both have 3 actions to spend amongst one another. That said, like if you spend like a thrill of the hunt charge, then maybe you both do a thing, so that kind of thing is not out of the question. The psychic damage thing might get dicey when you and your companion takes an area effect. So if you and your companion take an area effect, then you would just take the damage. So I think that would be fine. So instead of you taking half the psychic damage, it would just be you take the damage, and then like your both of your hit points pool goes down. So I don't think that's too hard. Is every class getting a story subclass in the future? Maybe in the future, I'm not sure. So Beat Pete, how the story-based subclasses are working is that wherever there's a fantasy gap, like I really want to play this kind of character, but none of the classes or subclasses currently support it. That's where I'm creating these. So like whenever there's like a goody two shoes paladin, there's always going to want to be like the bad boy paladin, right? So Oathbreaker with Oathsworn, that makes sense. Whenever there's like a hunter type of thing, dude who hunts creatures, and like there's always going to want to be the dude who wants, I do want to have a little pet, I want to have a buddy. So there's the fighter who like read one too many spell books and now he can cast spells. Like, oops, I learned spells. Gish Spellblade type of thing. So these are like distinct fantasies that people already have. So the goal isn't to have one of each necessarily. Maybe one class needs like multiple story-based subclasses. Maybe one class needs none. So as I have been seeing different gaps in where the fantasies are in the characters you can easily make, that's where I've been making them. So I'd like to make more. So I don't know what the future holds. Is there anything for flying or swimming pets, like an axolotl or hawk, perhaps, or would they be the same thing? It would probably be less granular than that. It'd probably be like, this is a small pet and they could do this and this. And it's up to you to like describe how they're doing it. You're assuming good aligned characters and characters that actually care about their animal companions, but a character might see their animal companion merely as a tool. I think if that's the case, this would not be the subclass for you. So this is very much like, hey, you're my buddy, I'm working together. If you want that kind of like, bad guy who doesn't care about their companions, maybe you play like a Shepherd of Death subclass for the Shepherd, or maybe you do a Shadowmancer. I mean, like you could be a Beastmaster Hunter and not care about your pet. That'd just be a pretty weird fantasy. I don't know that would follow too much. Blight Druids, for example. Yeah, that's cool. I'm fine with you taking 1.5 damage. I think that's unintuitive though. That's unintuitive. But maybe it would all have to be borne out in the playtesting. But I also don't want to punish, like in fantasy wise, you don't want to punish like the hunter who's like, standing back to back with his companion and like doing cool things, and then someone attacks them both and like, well, now I'm punished for having my companion next to me. So even though that might make sense mechanically, it doesn't make sense fantasy wise. And it's sort of just punishing the guy for having a pet when having the pet should be the cool thing about the class and not the negative thing about the class. An idea, legendary artifact item that you find in your campaign that gives you your characters. Yeah, that could be cool. Like maybe you find something that like, talks to you and like makes you break your oath, and that's why you're an oath breaker. Or maybe like this magical sword you have like grants you the powers, or like maybe like you betray your patron because you steal his thing and then like whatever, and now he doesn't like you anymore, and like now he left you alone, and now you got to figure things out by yourself. So that is certainly a thing that could happen. Okay, guys, it has been 2 hours, if you can believe it. I guess I could talk about this forever. So Thursday, the day that the campaign is closing, I am planning on having a much longer, a longer live stream for people who are interested in joining me, just sort of like a watch party for anybody who wants to join in, talk about things and chat and stuff in the final hours. So I'll put more information up about that here pretty soon. So if you guys want to join into that, we'll do a much longer, broader read-through and questions and answers. It'll sort of just be a hangout session. We can talk about different cool ideas and stuff too. Thank you guys so much. If you haven't already, go ahead and like the video. That helps other people see it. And share the campaign with your friends. We're pretty close to the Beastmaster Hunter. I'm pretty confident that's going to be in there today, tomorrow. But I'm not sure about the bestiary. I think that would be a super cool stretch goal. I'd love to have an online character builder, but that does take development time, hosting costs, all that sort of stuff. So I'd love to hit that. If we don't, like already, it has been the campaign has been a smashing success beyond any expectations I could have reasonably had. So I really appreciate you guys so much. Thank you. Let me know if you guys want to help out. If you can email me or send me a DM, or if you have any suggestions or questions. I love collaborating with you guys. So again, thank you so much. We'll go and stop it there. All right, see you guys.